This is an unprecedented time in the hyperbaric industry. I've been involved in hyperbarics for over 20 years, and never in my history have I seen such a polarizing moment inside of hyperbarics. On one hand, and I mention this in all the classes that I teach and in many of the videos that we do, this is one of the best times to be involved with hyperbarics. The awareness of hyperbarics, the access to hyperbarics, the access to safety, and the access to proper training and proper protocols. Never has it been so easy to launch, operate, and grow a hyperbaric clinic safely and effectively. And for all of those reasons, I'm incredibly excited about hyperbaric's future. But with all of this growth in awareness and access has exposed another side to the industry. And the other side of this industry has me fearing for hyperbaric's future. New chambers are flooding the market, some of which have all of their safety testing, and many of which do not. People are opening clinics. Some of these clinics have all the proper safety and compliance necessary to deliver hyperbaric safely, and some of them do not. Some of them know how to maintain and operate their equipment properly, and some of them do not. And as any industry grows, the possibilities and the potentials for injuries or accidents or people cutting corners, that's true across the board inside of any industry. So of course the risks are there. However, in teaching hyperbarics for the last 8 years or so, I've consistently been able to say it's been over 20 years since our last catastrophic hyperbaric accident. And I can no longer say that because in this last year alone, there have been 2. With these accidents have come unimaginable consequences, loss of life, changes in their families forever, changes in the clinics who were running those chambers forever, negative media coverage about the hyperbaric industry, changes in legislation that could forever alter the future of offering hyperbarics around the country. And the one thing that I can say is true about every hyperbaric accident that I'm aware of is they were all preventable. They all come down to user or operator error of some kind. One of my main reasons for wanting to do this particular video is a call to action. Because if you care about this industry anywhere near as much as I care about this industry, I need you to do the right thing, whatever that might mean for you. Without judgment or criticism, evaluate what it is that you're doing inside your clinic. If you're a patient, evaluate, ask questions of the clinic that you're going to. Understand what the risks are, understand how to manage those risks, and make sure that you or the clinic you are going to are taking the necessary steps to maintain a safe clinic, an effective clinic, where patients can come and trust the policies and the procedures, trust the staff and the faculty and the technicians running the equipment, and know that they're going to have a safe and effective experience at this clinic. I would say that for many years, finding the answers to how should I be compliant has been very difficult to find, but that's no longer true either. Today, operating proper equipment that has been safety tested, getting trained and certified in hyperbaric medicine and hyperbaric operations and hyperbaric safety, becoming compliant inside the clinic with following all the rules and regulations of hyperbaric is not that difficult. There's no excuse. And that's honestly a bare minimum of what should be required of anybody running a hyperbaric clinic. At the past IHA conference in September, I put together a compliance checklist for all the clinics. What's the minimum baseline of compliance required to operate a hyperbaric clinic? So if you weren't there or you're still wondering what the answers to those compliance questions are, you can either scan the QR code right here or click the link in the description below, and I'll give you our compliance checklist. All the things you need to be doing to make sure that you are compliant inside your clinic. And in fact, one of those things is having a safety binder. We're also including the safety binder table of contents so you understand what ought to be included inside of your hyperbaric safety binder. So please download those and start evaluating your own situation and start making sure that you're checking all the boxes. In this video specifically, I'm not getting into the details on the compliance components. You can grab that and that QR code, and I'm going to make another video specifically about that. And I'm also not going into the specific details of the accidents that happened in 2025, although I will make a future video about that as well. In this video, I really just wanted to share with you my thoughts on what the current state of this industry is. And I want to discuss some of the issues that I see and that have been brought up inside some of the negative media coverage that I've read or seen online. So I'm actually going to pull from one of the more recent articles that I've read because it does a great job summarizing, in my opinion, not really what's wrong with the industry, but what's wrong with the coverage that the industry is getting. This is an article by Guardian, and the title is, "It's Absolute Anarchy. Oxygen Therapy Chambers Have Led to Horrific Deaths. Why Are Maha Elite Raving About Them?" So first of all, I'm not even sure who Maha Elite are. But the hyperbaric industry has been around for decades, and patients have been utilizing hyperbaric oxygen for a whole range of conditions, some of which are FDA-approved indications, while others happen to be off-label use. But hundreds of thousands of patients have found relief from complex medical issues utilizing hyperbaric oxygen. This should not be a politicized conversation. It's a medical conversation. When discussing hyperbaric's off-label use, the article goes on to say, without evidence, these businesses often promote hyperbaric oxygen as a cure-all from everything from Alzheimer's to ADHD to wrinkles. If you've paid any attention to any of the videos that I've ever made, if you've come to any of my training courses, I'm constantly repeating the fact that hyperbaric is not the cure or the treatment for any of these things. In fact, in my opinion, hyperbaric isn't the cure or the treatment for anything. It's a modality that we're using to support physiology using an ingredient, a molecule that's incredibly important for almost every cellular function that you can think of. Hyperbaric oxygen happens to be the only tool that allows us to deliver a significantly higher level of oxygen into the body than what you and I are getting right now. Without that increased level of pressure inside the hyperbaric chamber, we're already maxing out our oxygen carrying capacity. Hyperbaric allows us to bypass red blood cell oxygen carrying capacity and deliver exponentially higher levels of oxygen, supporting thousands of physiological pathways. So if businesses are marketing it for a treatment and a cure for anything other than the 15 approved indications, then of course that's inappropriate because it's not. It's not a treatment, it's not a cure. However, that doesn't mean that it's not supportive of a whole host of other issues that patients may be suffering from. My problem with coverage like this is it's attacking an entire industry where the industry and the tools used by the industry are not necessarily dangerous, especially when they're using the right equipment and trained appropriately for operating that equipment. In fact, hyperbarics actually has an extensively long safety record. In both of the incidents that happened in 2025, we're talking about rules and regulations that were not being followed properly. In other words, operator error, errors in the policies, procedures, and or the training of the people using the equipment, essentially non-compliance to the rules and regulations. This isn't the fault of the industry. This isn't hyperbaric is anarchy and dangerous. Hyperbaric oxygen therapy is safe. If you were to compare the incidence rate of the hyperbaric industry against almost any other medical subspecialty, I think you would find that hyperbaric's safety rating would be exponentially higher than almost any other medical therapy you can think of. This is a situation where inside both of those accidents, the individuals operating the equipment and the individuals running these clinics need to be evaluated to understand where the mistakes occurred that led to the accidents happening, not to attack an entire industry because of the actions of a few people. So in the description below, I'll link to the article that I'm referring to. I'll also link to a written response of mine to that article so that you can see my responses point by point and in more depth. I want to make it clear on this video that the issue here is not the hyperbaric industry and that hyperbaric chambers are unsafe. The issue is that we have people operating non-certified chambers. The issue is that we have people running clinics without proper training. The issue is that we have people operating the equipment without proper training. The issue is that we have clinics operating without the proper safety protocols or the safety directors in place. The hyperbaric industry is not lacking rules and regulations. I promise you, if you're familiar with the rules and regulations inside this industry, we have plenty. What the hyperbaric industry is currently lacking is the ability to enforce the already existing rules and regulations on the clinics that are already utilizing hyperbarics and that they're running these clinics as safely as they possibly can. The biggest issue facing the hyperbaric industry right now is compliance and accountability. As I said earlier, there are plenty of rules and regulations that govern the hyperbaric industry. If you're familiar with the rules and regulations and you're following the rules and regulations, I don't believe that you feel there's a need for additional rules and regulations. There's just a need for people to follow the rules and regulations. There needs to be accountability to make sure that people are following the rules and regulations, and there needs to be a way to enforce these rules and regulations so that this industry can continue to grow in that way that I started this video talking about. Without compliance and accountability, and God forbid, a few more accidents, this industry can change course completely. And it could become almost impossible, maybe impossible, to even practice hyperbarics, now limiting or even cutting off patients from having access to hyperbaric therapy. Please, if in any way you're unsure of whether or not you are compliant, I implore you to download that checklist and start working your way through it. Get your clinic into a safe and compliant status so that your clients continue to have access to your therapy and so that this industry can continue to grow in a favorable direction for everyone.